Hi there, my name is Polina and I'll try to guide you in this video through the software development template. So it works if you have a single team that prefers to work with sprints, bugs and stories, and if you like a different structure, for example, you have many teams and or you prefer Kanban, then please have a look at other templates we have in the gallery. So first of all, we're going to start from the database structure, from the structure itself. So here we have 4 levels of data. The first one is that we have releases. So maybe you have a weekly, monthly, quarterly releases, and you can plan accordingly with this template. If you like everything but releases, you're very welcome to delete them. This will not ruin the structure and other views. Second, we have sprints. So here we have like 2 weeks cadence, but you can increase it, you can decrease it, and every sprint has a scope. So scope consists of stories and bugs. Stories like a small piece of functionality, and usually story is a part of a particular feature or epic or something else. So definitely recommend to connect this template with your product management template if you haven't done this already. And bugs are also part of our template because unfortunately we cannot get rid of them even if we are very talented persons. So what do you have inside? You have first of all the README document. This is kind of marketing video which gives you just a high-level understanding of what is going on inside. And you have a step-by-step guide. So you can check out how to do something. There are like some helpful links to the entities which contain more details inside and which you can find helpful. So yeah, definitely recommend you checking it out. There is also a document which is called Dev Wiki. It's a page. You can have nested documentation like this. So if your developers want to have an unstructured wiki full of pages, you're very welcome to do this. If you want to have a structured wiki, you're very welcome to add a database called document. We will talk about this later in another video. There is also a global view which is called backlog. So you can have this sprint planning opportunity, or you can just remove the sprint level here and you can like add a new box or new stories directly here. If you already installed the feature product management template, in this case, once you add stories and box there, they will appear here automatically. So that's a global backlog, and then we go to 2 folders. The first one is called release planning. So inside we have everything about releases. So this is a table where you can have you can name all the releases, you can name the release date, and you can also there is also a sorting applied. So the earliest ones are on the top, but you can like change it and make the latest ones on the top. And you can also apply the filter. So for example, if the release date is before today or is after today, so you could see like only future ones here. This will become handy once you have like more releases across the time. So here you can see also some formulas which are called planned effort, completed, and progress. Let's open and see what's going on inside. So these fields, these are formulas. Let's first probably scroll a bit down. So every release has some stories and bugs which are planned. So you can see them as a board or you can see them as a list. This is up to you. So our release has a progress which checks the difference between completed effort and planned effort. So planned effort is also a formula which summarizes the effort from stories and bugs which are linked to this release. So for example, if I will add here one more story, and I will say that we have 12 story points here, I will see that my planned effort now is 20. Completed effort is, it checks how many bugs and stories are in the done state, and then it calculates the effort only for those done stories and bugs. So it checks that, okay, here we have a story, maybe we can also change it, like 15 for example. So we have 15 points done, 27 points planned, and the progress is 55%. Once I move it here, it will recalculate everything, and I will update the progress simultaneously as well. So here you add the releases, and the formulas will do the work once we finish our release planning. So release planning is a board where you can see stories and bugs grouped by the release. So you see that we have also there is apply a filter where release, so it shows us only releases, future ones where the release date is on or after today. And here we can assign what and when do we hope will be delivered. So this is your release planning board. And as you see, as I assign here some bugs and stories, like we have planned effort as 5 story points. So you update the information here, and the formulas correspond respectively here as well. That's about the release planning board. We also have sprint handling folder. So here we also have a table of sprints. You can create them manually or you can create them automatically. We'll talk about this a bit later in this video in the automation section. So you define the dates, you define the capacity, total effort and completed effort. These are also formulas which work the same way like we've done with the releases. So it checks which stories and bugs are planned for the sprint and correspond to this in the formula itself. There is also a progress and there is also a status. So status is also like kind of relatively complicated formula which just compares today's date with the dates of the sprint, and if like this sprint like is the current one, if for example its start date is before today and end date is after today. So it gives you the status of the sprint automatically, and we just colored it. So gray one past ones, current one green ones, and future ones blue ones. You can also apply the filters so you could see only current sprints, or just to avoid past sprints in the future it can be handy. So that's up to you. So then we go to the sprint planning part. So in this board you allocate stories and bugs to a specific sprint. So everything you added here from the backlog or from the release planning somewhere will appear here. Let's maybe show on the sprint level also the dates. I think it will be handy. Okay, awesome. And I think we can also even add the status. Great. So I see all the undone stories and bugs here. I can assign them to the particular sprint, and my also sprint has capacity level, planned capacity, how many capacity is left based on the rows who are assigned. And of course we have to estimate the cards before we assign them. Okay, we've done with the planning. There is also a filter here which doesn't show past sprints or a kind of very future ones. So for example, if you have a sprint planned for like half a year, technically it's possible, it will not show here. So like you didn't have too many rows here. Okay, there is also current sprint board. So here we see only those sprints, those stories and bugs which were assigned to this sprint. So for example, if I assign those to the sprint 1, which is current one, I will see them automatically here. So how it works, in fact, under the hood, our stories and bugs, they inherit the status of the sprint they belong to. Thus, there is a filter, only show us where the sprint is sprint 1, or we can change it to sprint status contains current. So that will be it. So once you assign something in the sprint planning, current sprint will be here. What else can be handy? You can also add the grouping by assignees. You can also add a grouping by the priority to make sure everything works as you expect. And you can also have a kind of reporting with the sprint velocity. Like here, so like you could see what's going on and then have a global overview. It's also possible to create burn down, burn up, CFD, historical cumulative reports, but historical reports require historical data, so it will make sense once you really start the sprint. I promised you to talk a little bit about the automations, so let's go to the space configuration and let's see where do we have the rules and buttons. First of all, we have them on the sprints. There is a rule which will create new sprints automatically. So once the sprint is updated and status contains past, it will add the next sprint with a 2 weeks duration. So if you want to change the cadence, like make it 3 weeks or make it 4 weeks or make it 1 week, just change the number of days here accordingly. And you have to enable this rule because by default everything is disabled. There is also a button which is called move to the next sprint. So when the sprint is finished, sometimes there are some stories and some bugs which were not done, but although they were planned. So in this case, if we click this button, we will reassign them automatically to the next sprint. So you can do this manually or enable the button. So what will it do? It will check if the state of the story or of the bug is not done. Then it will find the next sprint with this formula, and it will assign it to the next sprint. We also have an automation on the bug level, which was called document template. So if you enable it, for every new bug you add to the system, it will create kind of markdown template. So the QAs knew that they have to fill in the steps to produce, current result and expected result, and make it more structured for the developers. That's probably it about the basics. If you have any questions, please feel free to ping us through the help and support button, human support, no AI here. Or if you have a more technical question, feel free to ping AI, because if you're from a different time zone especially, it will give much more faster reply. This is it. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.